What's up, my friends in the film fandom, wherever you are and however you may be watching? Thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your time. Dune 2 has finally arrived to much fanfare, and rightly so, because it was quite a film indeed. Denis Villeneuve has arrived as a director, in my opinion. Here to break it down with me, as always, are my two great co-hosts. Lady Cora not available tonight. I think she's traveling. Tex is caught at work, but Foxtrot's here. Marcus is here to fill in for him. But with me, as always, is my hetero-life mate, Jeremy. What's up, brother?
You can make fun of me all you want, but I'm keeping my quote, and it's staying there. Because as probably, a good cousin to the Star Wars franchise, as I can describe it, that's staying. You're just going to have to deal with all the sand, because there's a lot of it.
Yeah, a lot of sand. Sand is coarse. It's always scratching shit. Is that what he was complaining about in the movie?
Yeah, it just gets everywhere, It's a problem.
Yeah, of course, in the skin.
And of course, Marcus, aka Foxtrot. What's up, brother?
Hey, just still in the chat, watching the streams. It's one of the few ones where I can actually join because I know what the hell y'all are going to be talking about this week. And I text a friend, I'm like, "Oh, you're talking about Dune? I just got done watching that Thursday." It's like, hey, if you need sparring, I want to come and join, hang out with y'all fun people.
Yeah, I just got a chance to go see it last night, and I left there kind of blown away. I mean, my short review is up on the channel for those of you who haven't watched it yet. It's a very different film, but very, very good. I like Oppenheimer better as a film overall. I'm not saying Dune is a bad film. I just like Oppenheimer better, just me personally. But I think that when Dune moved back out of this year out of last year to open up alongside Oppenheimer, close to it, to this year, which is a different Oscar season, it probably did both Oppenheimer and this movie a lot of good, because Oppenheimer is going to win a whole bunch of awards this year. And this movie is probably going to win a shit ton of awards in next year's Oscar ceremony. So just from the award standpoint, it probably made a big difference in this movie just moving back a little bit. It gives them both an opportunity to win a lot of hardware. But, let's get right into it. Obviously, we're here to talk about Dune Part 2. Let's see. Dune Part 2 is the 2024 American epic science fiction film directed and co-produced by Denis Villeneuve, who also co-wrote the screenplay with Jon Spaihts. I'm pronouncing the name. I know I am. It's the sequel to Dune, which came out in 2021, and is the second of a two-part adaptation of the 1965 novel by the same name by Frank Herbert. It follows Paul Atreides as he unites the Fremen people of the desert planet Arrakis to wage war against House Harkonnen. Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, Rebecca Ferguson, Josh Brolin, Stellan Skarsgård, Dave Bautista, Charlotte Rampling, and Javier Bardem all reprised their roles from the first film, with Austin Butler, Florence Pugh, the great Christopher Walken, Léa Seydoux, and Souheila Yacoub joining the ensemble cast. Development on this film began after Legendary Entertainment acquired the film and television rights to Dune back in 2016. Villeneuve signed on as a director the next year with the intention of making a two-part adaptation of the novel due to its complexity. Production contracts and script for the first film, the second film having to be greenlit based on the first successes. We talked about how weird that was. Although Villeneuve was concerned about the sequel's certainty after the first film had a simultaneous theatrical and HBO Max release, Warner Brothers Pictures assured him that a sequel would happen if it performed well on HBO Max, which it did. After the critical and commercial success of the first film, Warner Brothers and Legendary greenlit Part 2 in October of 2021. Dune Part 2 was scheduled for November 3rd of 2023, but was delayed due to the Hollywood labor disputes. The film had its world premiere at Auditorio Nacional in Mexico City on February 6th of this year, and it was released in the United States on March 1st of this year. It's grossed over $182 million worldwide in its first weekend, making it the fifth highest grossing film of the year so far, and it's received praise from critics, with a sequel based on the second novel in the series, Dune Messiah, now in development. The film largely received rave reviews from critics and was praised for its visual effects and cast performances. Some reviews considered it one of the best science fiction films ever. On the review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, 94% of 432 critics' reviews are positive, with an average rating of 8.4 out of 10. The website's consensus review reads, quote, "Visually thrilling and narratively epic, Dune Part 2 continues Denis Villeneuve's adaptation of the beloved sci-fi series in spectacular form." And I guess that's kind of the perfect place to start is with Denis Villeneuve. I mean, this guy, his career is relatively young. He doesn't have a whole lot of movies in his repertoire, but damn, he's made some absolute bangers. I'll go to you first, Marcus. Denis Villeneuve as a director, do you think he's finally arrived?
Yeah, I mean, don't know much of his other works or films, but I mean, part 1 was good. I definitely want to go see part 2 because hell, I read the good portion of the first book after watching the Dune movie, and I mean, as much as people have been challenging and complaining about how Dune isn't like the book or it veers off the book, nothing's going to be 100% accurate to the book. You're representing or interpreting what your thought process of the books are. And the book's difficult in and of itself because the writer came up with his own language on top of that and shoved a dictionary in the back of each book. So instead of him just being like, oh, we're not going to use this dictionary, he's usually part of the book and trying to represent the best he can.
Yeah, Jeremy, how about you? Denis Villeneuve is, again, a relative newcomer. He started in the late 90s and into the 2000s. He started to make some bigger stuff. But, man, once you hit the mid-2010s, he starts putting out some absolute bangers. What do you think of Denis Villeneuve's his resume so far? And is this guy now officially one of the great directors in Hollywood?
If this is anything to go off of, yeah, he's definitely got the potential because, as we said, part 1 was pretty damn good. I enjoyed it, and I definitely enjoyed part 2. I'm just looking here. There's Blade Runner 2049, which I didn't see because we all know how I feel about sequels that are about 30 years too late or 40 years too late in that probably case. Then there's Sicario, which, I mean, that's always fun. Other than that, I don't know if I've really heard of any of the rest of these because there really isn't a whole lot. There's stuff there, but nothing that I've really heard of. But I mean, yeah, if you're going to come out of the gate, well, maybe not out of the gate, but you're at least on the track and you're swinging. I mean, he's swinging the right for the right fences. So,
yeah,
yeah. There's a lot about both of these movies that I really enjoy, and I'm ready for part 3, which is probably going to be about 6 hours long, but let's fucking do it. Let's go. I thought this was going to be it, and I was hoping Zendaya would do it again. Like, nope, this is just part 2, and then just cut to black, and I was like, oh, okay. I'm glad you teased me for the entire first movie, then you were there for 5 minutes, and we're like, cool, sequel.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, just looking at his last 5 movies, you've got Sicario, which is a fantastic movie. You've got Arrival, which is I put it. It's a very cerebral sci-fi philosophical film. I put it up there with like Contact. I think some people went to it at the theaters expecting it to be more like a typical sci-fi movie, not understanding it was going to be more thoughtful. So that's why it took a while for that movie to really gain any ground. Blade Runner 2049 is already being talked about like the original Blade Runner. Like it was just too smart for its audience at the time, but 30 or 40 years from now, people are going to finally get it. And then of course the last 2, Dune Part 1 and Part 2, which are fantastic movies. And he also did a movie with Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal back in 2013 called Prisoners, which I've heard is really good. I haven't had a chance to see it yet. But and then of course he's done a little bit of TV. He's actually going to be the executive producer for Dune Prophecy, which is a television show that's going to be coming out based on the Dune works on HBO Max. So I mean, look, again, a small resume, but damn, the guy's just hitting homer after homer the last like 8 or 9 years. Like I said, Sicario is one of the best, like most honest movies about like the drug trade and everything going on, the violence of the stuff going on at the border and things like that. Like I said, Arrival, a much better movie I think he gets credit for. But these last 2 Dune movies, I mean, the guy, he's just shown that he knows how to take these really dense stories and not just make them in a way that where they're very watchable, but he makes them super entertaining. Like I haven't been this wrapped up in anything sci-fi like this since Star Wars. I mean, I've always thought that this is what Star Wars could be if they leaned into the political and family drama a little bit more and not made it more actiony. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, Star Wars certainly does that, but not to this extent.
Skywalker family's got its problems, and there's a whole lot of emperors pulling his little strings. Because I know we all loved Episode 1 and how much it talked about trade routes and shit. But
But
It's-
yeah, I
and
mean,
now-
Denis Villeneuve is definitely he's hitting on all cylinders right now. I mean, the guy is just killing it. I can't wait to see what he eventually does with part 3, and then whatever other projects he gets into. There's a couple of things that just off the top of my head I'd like to see him. I'd love to see him do something like V, the TV show from the 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, make that either into a movie series or executive produce a TV series. Because the way he's handled Arrival in this, I think he could give that a different level that they haven't been able to give it since the series from the early 80s or that like 2008 or 2009 reboot series they tried to do. I would love to see him get with Kenneth Johnson, maybe get involved in that, but I don't think V's ever going to see the screen again. But let's take a minute now. Let's talk about the cast. I mean, obviously, this thing is just loaded with killers. It's like Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya. I can't. Yeah, I mean, I can't. I can't throw any name out here without you being completely blown away by their performance. If not in this movie, certainly in their movies leading up to this. And then, of course, you have the great Christopher Walken. You got him. I'll go to you first, Jeremy. What do you think of the cast, and who stood out the most for you?
Yeah, honestly, both movies. I mean, yeah, they're just loaded with some big name actors, man. Like I threw in there. You got Josh Brolin, you got freaking Thanos in this movie, and you got Drax. So, spoiler alert: it got a little awkward when I had to watch Thanos kill Drax again in this movie. I was like, wah wah. In another spacey type movie, I was like, that sucks, man. Double homicide.
Well, I don't know if you guys realize it or not, but in Avengers, Drax is after Thanos for killing his family. And in this movie, Thanos is after Drax for killing his family.
Yeah, that's true.
So there was this kind of weird role reversal for the two actors in this movie. One's the good guy, one's the bad guy in the other movie, and it kind of flips in this movie as well. The other one's the bad guy.
Yeah, man.
I thought I was watching that last night. I thought it was kind of funny.
It transcends the multiverses and shit like that. Yeah,
there are variants. Yes,
I had to. Yeah, the TVA is going to show up in the sands at some point. Yeah, I thought. Yeah, there's so many people to pick, and you know me. I always go with something ridiculous. So I'm going to go with the fact that Anna Taylor-Joy showed up for 30 fucking seconds and then bounced. I'm like, what the fuck was that? Hello? All right, bye. Hope I see you again in part 3. I was not ready for that, so I would say she's my pick, but that's just me being an asshole. But I would say, if you want me genuinely, I think Austin Butler made a fucking terrifying clash to Paul Atreides. That dude was, that shit was insane. I'm going to gush so hard over the cinematography and the way some of this shit looks. Like that when they're on that Senate with the black sun and it makes everything that black and white color. There's something about that, and then especially that's how we introduce him in this visceral gladiator fight. I'm like, God, okay, this is gonna be it. This guy, I was like, damn, Elvis has certainly left the fucking building and he is on a rampage.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So, I mean, for a genuine answer, I would say Austin Butler pretty much kind of stole it once he was introduced for me. I knew it was coming. Obviously, he's going to come to blows with his cousin and then end up getting shanked right in the stomach. But hey, that's how it is out in the Dune or whatever.
This is how we roll here in Arrakis, son.
Yep. And then you take Florence Pugh for some fucking reason, but whatever. I'll talk about that later.
No, Marcus, how about you? It's a loaded cast again. We've had a few movies lately where the cast has just been amazing. Who stood out the most for you in this cast?
Honestly, Javier Bardem, the guy who plays Stilgar. I liked his role. He wasn't there to be the mean guy doing the pushing and the shoving, and he was just there to mentor and help and hey, you're supposed to be this dude. You should be doing this shit and be this dude. And I mean, it felt like his character didn't really change too much during the story, but it also felt like he needed to be there. You're this dude. I want you to become this dude, even though you don't think you're supposed to be this dude. I mean,
he's kind of like Morpheus in the Matrix. He blindly just believes that this guy is the one, and he's like, I'm kind of the religious fanatic, and I'm like, I want this to be true. So
Pretty much like Obi-Wan for the first 3 movies. Like, you're
yeah,
the chosen one.
pretty much. He had the genuine like laughs too. He had some pretty good I was like I was gonna actually be upset. I'm like, please don't die. I like you, man. Please don't.
Yeah, for me, again, head to toe, this cast is just loaded. There was not one moment of this movie where I was watching the performances thinking to myself, they could have done that a little better. Or this person maybe doesn't quite fit. It's like every moment I was just wrapped up in all these people. But the one that I got most interested in was Rebecca Ferguson's character, who plays his mother. She's on this weird character trajectory where over the course of this movie, you can see her going from good guy to probably bad guy. There's something because her and Paul both seem to be struggling with where they're going to end up when all this is over. And it seems like Paul was trying to fight the possibility of ending up in a bad spot, whereas she's just kind of like she's accepting whatever she has to do, being the godmother or whatever the hell they told her she was going to be. The witch mother. I don't know. I forget what it was called. And on top of that,
Reverend Mother.
Yeah, Reverend Mother. That was it. Yeah. And then on top of that, having Anna Taylor-Joy in her belly while she's gestating, still talking to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surprised me with that.
Yeah, that was a weird one. But her character to me is one of the more interesting moving forward because I love watching a person go from a good guy to being a bad guy. She's a good guy in the first movie. She's, Paul's mother, on the run after the father gets killed, yada, yada, yada. They end up on Arrakis. And then here, it's like you start that way, but she's slowly being absorbed by whatever this crazy religious zealotry is. And I don't know. There's part of me was watching this, and I was wondering if it was part of her plan or just something that was happening and she was going with it. It's just odd because, you do find out, spoiler alert for those of you who haven't seen the movie yet, that she is actually Fat Man's daughter.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
Discount Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, Discount Jabba, Wish.com Jabba. And or Timu Jabba. But yeah, I mean so yeah, the whole I am your father. No.
Yeah, but that's kind of what happened.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if this wasn't part of some grander plan that isn't going to get exposed until the next movie. But I mean, we'll find out eventually. So she's what was more interesting to me. Also, Florence Pugh, I'm on the fence about her. The performance was good. Her character was interesting. I don't think she was used enough. I feel like she was supposed to have more to do at one point. Now, it's not unheard of when you're talking about a series of movies as opposed to one film, introducing somebody along the way and just giving them a little bit of introduction and then making them a bigger part of the story moving forward. Marvel's done it plenty of times, of course, but it seems to me like she's got an important role to play in all this. Like she could be someone who stands up to Paul Atreides to try to stop him if he ends up kind of going sideways. Or I'm on the fence about what her character's supposed to be. I feel like she could be a good guy because she obviously over the course of this film, because we don't really see her. We see her in the opening part of the film, then we don't see her up until late the second act again. And then, from the second act on, after they get to the planet to confront Paul Atreides, we get to see a little bit more of her. But I don't know if she's going to be someone who kind of makes sense out of all this chaos and be the better of the good guys, or if she's going to be someone who reminds Paul, that he's maybe walking on the wrong path, or if she's going to stop her father from doing something stupid and go against his wishes. Or if she's ultimately just going to go along with it, just be another bad guy. I don't really know. Now, it's a good thing that I don't quite know what her story is. I'm kind of excited by it, but I don't think they gave her enough to do in this movie. I would have hoped that she would have done more. Jeremy, am I wrong on this, or do you think Florence Pugh is used just right?
I've always said it. I'm like, she's become kind of one of my new favorites. You say Florence Pugh, I'm like, I turn into Morty. I'm like, you son of a bitch, I'm in. But she did just kind of come out of nowhere, and I mean. And I even said that, and I just said Anna Taylor-Joy. I was like, where the fuck were you? What? But in this, I was kind of like, okay, so what's your angle? And yeah, like you said, she was sprinkled in here and there, and then was kind of just more so there at the end when Paul had his fight with fucking Elvis. I forget his character's name already. I don't. It was something weird. Good.
Blank on it too.
The other Messiah that was supposed to be.
Yeah, the other. Yeah. So I feel like there wouldn't be a reason to not explore that more. I don't, especially with kind of the bomb drop that we had right at the end there when. I mean, now if I was Paul Atreides and you're asking me to choose between Florence Pugh and fucking Zendaya, I'm like, man, I don't know what I would do either.
Yeah, talk about an impossible choice.
Yeah, I'm like, I feel like either way, right? So I don't know. I will just say it now. I wonder if, like how I get it, Zendaya kind of just like storms off in a huff when, Paul becomes the victor in that little duel. For the whole thing, and then he just goes right to Florence Pugh, like, yeah, I'm taking her, and then she just like storms out, and I'm like, you do know, right? That's just probably political. That's real life shit. Like, you can do that just for the reasons of for having the power. I'm like, we can still, you and me, right?
Yeah,
you can still. I'm like, I get it. She's probably just more of like, what the hell? We did all this shit, and you rode a sandworm, and then I rode your sandworm, and then like, God, now you're taking this bitch. What the hell?
Well, he was trying to tell her though. He was trying, like before he went over there and even said, "I'll take your daughter's hand." He looked at her and was like, "I will love you as long as there is breath in my body." So it's like he tried to tell her that, like, look, I'm doing this because I kind of have to, not because I want to.
Yeah.
But I mean, and while I understand her frustration in the moment, it's like she was kind of. I mean, she's been trusting him to this point. She should probably trust him with that too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I don't think that was supposed to be like personal. That wasn't an attack on her. It's like, again, I'm like, this could just be the move politically to like, get from this point. So I'm like, I don't know. I feel like maybe because if she did walk out of there and then she pulled out one of those little thumpers in the sand, and then she pulled out the hooks like she was gonna grab one of those sandworms and go somewhere. So I'm like, I don't know. Maybe they do know something that we don't yet. I don't know. But I feel like there's got to be something more, because as we saw the parts of Florence Pugh that were sprinkled throughout the movie, when she's talking to like the grand mother reverend, whatever that lady, she seemed to kind of be like, wait a minute, the one who's like, wait a second, hold on, wait, and weighing up the options of like, well, if Paul Atreides is still alive, we probably have a problem here, and of course they're like, nah, it's fine, like we have other people we can do,
Yeah,
but she kind of seemed to get the whole picture here. Like, okay, if this is what's going on, we should do X, Y, and Z, right? So, I don't know.
Originally the Florence Pugh was supposed the scene there where she seduces the one Harkonnen dude that they're trying to use to be their Messiah, pretty much for the most part, is because they believe that they can't control Paul Atreides. Like, they want one that they believe they can control easily without having a problem. Well, in that fight scene, the one guy that they were hoping to control and seduce based off having a kid with the princess kind of went into shambles. So I think some of that is Paul seeing something in the future where they try to do something to cause a problem. He's like, well, if I just pretend like I'm working with them, maybe it'll work out. Because the Benedictry, or the religious faction, they're clearly splitting in two at this point. You have the one that the Harkonnens and the rest of the group follows. Then you have the one that Lady Jessica created on the planet, on Dune. And at this point, she is getting more power on Dune and is clearly shaking up the foundation. I mean, the one lady that Kara Ramping was playing, which is supposed to be the head and the go-to and be-all for the Emperor, bows her head pretty much to Lady Jessica because she realized she just lost control of everything. They are not the ones writing the script like they have been trying to do for millenniums.
Yeah, also, I don't want it to go unsaid that Zendaya is actually very good in this. I feel like in a lot of these great performances, she may have gotten lost a little bit. but she's quite good. I mean, look, I mean, Spider-Man, yeah, she's great as MJ. I get it.
Yeah.
But I haven't watched Euphoria. I've heard Euphoria is actually pretty good. It's not generally. I mean, I've seen like commercials and things, and it's not generally the kind of thing that I'm into, and it hasn't done much for me. But I've heard it's a very good show, so I'm thinking about trying to give it a watch. But dude, she obviously carries herself very, very well. The camera presence that she has in this movie is fantastic, and I don't want people to get lost in this whole, she's Spider-Man's woman. She's, she's dating Tom Holland. Yeah, but she's got acting chops. I mean, she can fucking do this big time.
Yeah.
So don't. I'm worried that maybe as good as she is, kind of gets lost in the fact that you have Brolin, you have Christopher Walken, you have Austin Butler, you have Timothée Chalamet, all these great performances. I'm afraid that her performance might get lost in the fray. And it's actually very, very good because she very easily could be a character you get annoyed with. Like she's the jealous girlfriend that won't go away. But she is every bit the equal of Paul Atreides in this. She's every bit as good a warrior. She's every bit as cunning and smart. She's every bit as passionate about what's happening on Arrakis. She's got skin in the game. That's her home planet. I mean, she's got a grip on this, not unlike Princess Leia. Princess Leia was not a damsel in distress. Neither is Chani in this. She's not a damsel in distress. She's not the woman tied up on the locomotive tracks. She's a warrior. She's every bit as important as any of the other characters in this movie. Every bit as strong. And I do fear that she's going to kind of get lost in this just plethora of amazing, talented people spitting out great performances. So don't for a minute think that she can't act. But yeah, I mean, but I'm with Jay on this also. Austin Butler's so good.
God, yes.
And it's like in that scene, it's like as I was watching that scene in the movie, I'm like, I feel that scene differently. I mean, because he's not like hurt or anything in the scene. He's actually getting angry at somebody because he's, for those.
It was one of the guards. Yeah, they were like trying to hold him back, and he was like, "No, back up. I've got it."
Yeah, he's trying to play with his. He's playing with his food a little bit, so to speak. But but I mean, that look right there, it's menacing. And one of the things that's great about him, and I've got a piece of trivia about him about how Denis Villeneuve described his character, which I think is kind of funny. His character is such a weird amalgamation of chaos and psychosis and cunning and intelligence. I mean, I want to put him up there with the Joker as this kind of. He's not terrifying because I don't know who he is. He's terrifying because I know exactly who he is. It doesn't pretend that he's something he's not. They tell you very clearly from the jump who he is. I think they even call him psychotic at one point in the movie.
Yeah.
So he's not just psychotic, but he's also very thought out and very intentional and very planned out. I mean, I also want to point out, I saw the trailer to his other movie that he did, Bikers, I think the name of it is. They got pushed around. The release date got screwed up. It's got Tom Hardy and why am I drawing a blank? Fucking dude from Walking Dead, Daryl. Why am I drawing a blank?
I was like Norman Reedus.
Yeah, Norman Reedus.
I was like, from The Walking Dead, there have been a lot of people in that show.
It's got Jodie Comer. I saw that trailer, and he looks really fucking good in that trailer as well. I don't know if you guys have seen that trailer yet, but I highly suggest you watch it because that's a movie that I'm actually really eager to see now. It's about some biker group that forms in the. It's kind of a. I don't want to say a prequel to Sons of Anarchy. It looks like kind of another take on Sons of Anarchy. It shows this. It's like these guys decided to start a biker group in the 60s, and then it all kind of goes to some people's heads and doesn't go to other people's heads and so on and so on. But because Sons of Anarchy is one of my favorite shows of all time, I'm really interested in this movie and how it's going to turn out. And he looks fantastic in that as well. So, yeah, I mean, between Elvis and this Bikers movie that I saw the trailer for, I mean, dude, that guy's got a ton of talent. So don't sleep on him at all. Now, let's talk about the plot of the movie real quick. Obviously, there's, I don't want to do that one yet. But that's a great shot, too. But yeah, I mean, obviously, it's the continued fight to try to liberate Arrakis from this. I don't know. I'll call it the Galactic Empire. I forget what it's called in the movie. But it's just a continuation of everything that happened from the first movie. But a lot less setup. We're just balls deep in this now. I'll go to you first, Marcus. Did the plot of the movie work for you? I don't know about the books. I've never read the books. I don't know if you guys have read them or not. But did the plot? Even if we haven't read the books? Just as a film fan's perspective, did the plot of the movie work for you? Is there something you would have done different?
It definitely works for me. I enjoy it. It definitely, for a moment there, it felt drag on. Like, okay, cool. We understand what's going on a little bit. Speed it up. But I mean, for the plot in and of itself, it's supposed to be the second part of the first book. It's not supposed to clear up everything that happens in the first movie, but it's also supposed to end everything that really happens on Arrakis. And it did so very clearly through each step of the movie. I mean, I would have preferred seeing a little more action and explosions, but I mean, that's just because that's what I like. I wanted to see more worms eating more people and possibly a bigger one eating the castle, but I liked what I got, and I mean, seeing it in IMAX was amazing.
Oh man,
I didn't watch it in IMAX. I just went to a standard showing.
that would have
I
been.
think
Cool.
I might have to though.
Yeah.
Oh no,
that
no,
would be-
IMAX definitely changes it a lot.
Oh yeah.
No, Jay, what about you? I don't know how familiar you are with the books, if you've read them at all, but I mean, what do you think of the plot of the movie? How'd it go for you?
I have not read the books, and even if I mean, like, it's probably been like probably since like high school since I've seen the original movie from '84, to be honest. But yeah, even something like Harry Potter, where I have read the books, and I love the like the nose breathers that are like, no, the book's better. It's gonna, yeah. You can really delve into like a book, and it's got so much more to it. And even with something like this that we have two parts to that are 2.5, pushing like 3 hours, like, it's still going to be pretty dense. And no, we're not going to get to everything. So just stop making that stupid argument. We understand, and they're two different types of medium. Just fucking leave it alone. That being said, just from a movie standpoint, this, yeah, like he said, we've done the setup, the world building, the character building, and layout of who's the players in this thing in part one. So now this is like getting to the, now we're trying to get to the nitty gritty of the war on Arrakis against I can't remember what they're called either, but I mean it's the Harkonnens, right? Again, well, no, what were they called? Fuck, it started with an S. The guys that were in the white armor.
Stormtroopers.
Yeah, I know. It's so I'm trying so hard not to, because I love Star Wars, and I'm like, there's so much of this that's kind of like Star Wars. But that's probably
I noticed that a lot as I was watching it. Like, there's a whole lot of Sardaukar.
I'm like, it's something car.
Yeah, the Imperial troops.
Yeah, I know.
They are specifically for the Emperor.
Yeah. So you got all this. I know, and I love Star Wars, so that's part why I do like this, and I'm enjoying it. I mean, this isn't really, if this is part 2, this isn't exactly Empire Strikes Back, but I mean, hey, I'm not really gonna be mad if there's a part 3, because I think as his mom, Paul's mom, even says, like, yeah, this holy war is about to go off. I'm like, oh, I thought we were doing that in this, but I mean, all right, we had some good groundwork still being kind of laid, even though when the action scenes hit, man, they went, and they were fun. So
I mean,
now
if you go back to the first movie, like they gave you like whenever he gets his vision, like glimpse into each one of them. Like we only really saw one of the glimpses in the first movie take part in the second one, and that was the fight in the end.
Yeah. Then maybe now Paul's kind of become, I guess he's kind of gone full blown like space sand Jesus. So now he's got like his visions are his visions are like crystal clear now, and he may not probably quite understand how it works, but I don't know. Maybe there's something there that like he might be able to bring that to like part 3. And like I said with, I think what we Superman 2, when I said like you do a sequel, you want to do something bigger, like the setup of these like giant sandworms in the desert, it's like, yeah, they're terrifying, and there's ways to go about this to so you don't die. And it's like, oh, now we're just straight up surfing on these things, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
Like, it's still I mean, when he does it for the first time, it's still like you're still sitting there with them on the hill, like holding their breath, like, oh my god, is he gonna do this or is he gonna die? You know what I mean? And then it's just cool. It's like when we saw Boba Fett ride a fucking that damn thing called?
Caught in
The
Yeah.
Rancor. The Rancor.
No, the Rancor. Yeah, that he got from Danny Trejo. Yeah, I was like, okay, this is badass, and I love it, and I hope they use it.
Part of it was really hoping that he'd fall off the first time just so I could have that giggle because it's such a serious movie. I mean, if I could knock this movie on one thing, it's I would have enjoyed a little more tongue in cheek in the downtime because everything is so serious. A little joke here and there to introduce a little bit of levity to kind of balance the movie out a bit more. But I mean, it doesn't make the movie worse. So I mean, but yeah, but at 2 hours and 45 minutes or whatever the hell this movie clocked in at, I think another 5 minutes of a training montage might have been asking for a little much. You know what I mean?
Well, but I mean that is kind of the fun thing that I said about Stilgar is like he does do like this. Make sure you do this and don't do this, and yeah, you'll be fine. Yeah, it's all right. I'm like he does this serious shit and then be like, yeah, you might be okay. Yeah, you might not die.
You're riding a 500-ton worm that goes underground.
Right. Yeah, you'll be fine.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
You'll be fine, kid. You got it.
Oh, also, if you show off, I'm technically going to fail you from this test. What does he do? He shows off and still passes the test?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't. I mean, I get it. We're still building up our main character like this. This is like Goku just going up in his powers just as he goes, getting more ridiculous stuff without basically being a god at this point. But I'm not mad about it. Again, the stakes and also, like I said, some of the things kind of got bigger. Like we said, all of a sudden his mom is like a religious zealot leader now or some weird shit. And I think that was kind of cool that before they went south, like even him and his mom had that little spat and he like yelled straight in her face. And I was kind of surprised that no one else who was like maybe 10 yards away was not like, you guys okay? Like, are we still going? Like, oh, this would be an awkward ride south, you know? No, it worked, and I'm all here for a 3-part act. And if this holy war is apparently about to go off, it's about to be off the chain.
This holy war is going to blow up, son.
I was trying to do hot fuzz, like it's off the chain, it's off the space chain. I don't know.
But I was watching this movie last night, and I was thinking to myself, there's a lot of similarities to Star Wars. This feels like it felt like watching Empire. It felt like watching The Empire Strikes Back. It's like, I mean, even down to the ending where it's like the movie ends, but there's obviously a whole lot happening. They're getting ready to get in the ships and go up and meet the other armies and stuff like that don't want to acknowledge that he's the king now or some shit.
Yeah,
it's like even that kind of, it wasn't a cliffhanger ending, but I mean it's an ending where obviously there's more shit that's got to pop off, and we'll be seeing it here in a couple of years once they make the next film. But yeah, I mean the dynamics between father and son, the dynamic of the politics, there really are a lot of comparisons to Star Wars here. It's just told in a much more cerebral way. Not that Star Wars doesn't have its moments, but I mean it's a very thought-provoking philosophical film with a lot of really cool action.
Yeah.
But I mean, don't think that there's no action. I mean, I don't think that the third act was as good as like the third act of Avengers Endgame, but I mean, the whole battle stuff at the end was fantastic. Honestly, one of the coolest shots I've seen in a long time. He's standing there watching an atomic explosion standing on the mountain, like anybody ever does that.
Like a boss.
So he calls for these atomic missiles to be shot. You see them going overhead, and then they land, and he just stands there and watches the explosion like a fucking G. I was like, that's such a killer shot. I can't not like that. Not that I like the fact that atomic weapons were used at all, but I mean, come on, it's a movie. I'm gonna enjoy it while I got it. I don't know, Marcus. Did you think the final fight was everything it lived up to be? Both the battle and the final fight between Paul and Crazy White Man.
Yeah, I mean, in the story, how like you don't get those big weapons, tanks, cannons shooting off. It's like the giant knife fight. Oh, you guys got knives? Well, I'm gonna eat you with this worm over here, or a few of them. Have fun trying to counteract that shit, because they didn't have anything to really counteract that. That was fucking amazing. And then the final duel, it's like he's starting to lose. Everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, he's gonna lose." It's like, dude can see into the future. Dude knows how to prepare himself to take a hit, but also win the fight, like we saw inside the first movie, when the shit, I'm trying to think of his name now.
Jamis?
Yeah, Jameis was
Mhm.
like, dude, just because you're being all fancy and showing doesn't mean you're gonna be able to win. Like,
Yeah.
Jay, how about you? The final battles, did they work out for you? Were they as exciting to you as they were to me?
Yeah, it was fun. You kind of had your classic. I mean, yeah, you had. I will give Paul Atreides the pass that it's the cool guys don't look at the explosions. I'm like, that one you can have that one.
yeah,
That was pretty damn cool. And whatever, he can stare at the atomic fire because I mean his eyes are already turned to pretty blue from the spice, so it probably doesn't it doesn't affect him. Yeah, and we had the big. I mean, I maybe expected something a little more, but I'm like, maybe because I thought this part 2 was gonna be it. I thought, oh, it's gonna be some big crazy fucking battle. But maybe that's like part 3. Maybe it'll be something even more insane.
Well, if you're going to make 2 films, you may as well make 3. That's the rule in Hollywood.
I was kind of thinking
get
about
that extra movie. Get that extra movie worth of box office out of it. Why don't you?
Well, by the time they got to that, I was like, oh yeah, maybe it was still a good fight. It was a big to do out there in the desert, but I was like, oh, part 3 might really just go off. So, and I wasn't mad about it. The thing I liked about the West Side Story with Paul and Elvis, I'm just gonna keep calling him Elvis. I don't know. With that is I'm like, when you do a fight like that and there's just like no dialogue, it's just them you just hear them just beating on each other. It makes it, because I mean that's how fights are. You don't have any dramatic music going on, or unless someone brings their boombox or some dumb shit and puts on your entrance music to your WWE moment, but no one does that. So like it's just like everyone's holding their breath, like, oh shit, this is and we've seen what Austin Butler's character can do, and we've been following Paul this whole time, so you're kind of like holding your breath, waiting for whatever's going to happen. I mean, I kind of winced when like Paul just straight up grabbed the blade of that knife with his bare hand, was like stopping it from like going into his chest. I was like, Jesus Christ, dude. That was pretty baller. And then you still did the dumb. You don't pull out the knife, but whatever. It's space rules. Who cares? He's space Jesus now.
Well, no, I mean, with the Bene Gesserit, because he's supposed to actually be one of them, it's like he can, with his powers and all stuff, he's able to just stop the bleeding.
That's fair.
Like all the people in the Bene Gesserit, like the reason why in the first movie his mom got in trouble for having his son is they control their bodies. They can control whether they have a boy or girl, and the poison within them, whether it kills them or not. So I think if he can control poison affecting him, he can control areas not bleeding and pull out a knife safely. In theory.
The only other thing that I was kind of, I mean, I don't know, I figured, yeah, there's gonna be stakes in this fight, because I was worried. I'm like, I don't want Stilgar to die, because I'm like, I just love that guy too much. He just seems like too much fun.
Yeah.
And I understand like the identifying thing. It's gonna make sense here in a second. What I mean by that is like we see them getting ready, and Zendaya pulls out her little like blue bandana that she usually wears on her head or something, and she like wraps it around her arm. I was like, oh, okay, so that we know that specifically that one is Zendaya. I'm like, but when you had a fight where she just she's just cutting through people, and I saw the armband, I was like, oh, cool. And then she literally like turns around to the camera, like faces. I'm like, oh well, I knew it was you. Like you don't need to. I thought like a little more like, oh crap, like is she gonna die? And I'm like, I know that one's her. It's like Sam Jackson, that's a purple lightsaber. That's me right there. You know what I mean? So I know who's I know who's who. But I thought there'd be something a little more like, I don't know, if you see the little blue bandana or something that was gonna be a little more. I didn't think they were gonna kill her. I'm not saying that, but I kind of feel like there was a little more that was gonna be done with that. But whatever. I mean, everybody came down to throw down, even the worms.
Yep.
Yeah. Speaking of the worms. Here's a picture of them riding the worms into the battle, which I think it's a cool shot, but like part of me is like, come on, you're riding like 200-ton worms, probably even heavier than that.
Well, I'd also be in the crowd down there. I'm like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna run the fuck away. That's all you can do.
I got a big.
If I saw one of them, I'd run away.
Yeah, I know. So I'm saying one is terrifying. My God.
But yeah, I love the third act of the film. Part of me, I left the movie thinking I wished the fight between Paul Atreides and Fayed Ratha Harkonnen is his name. I know I'm mispronouncing it, but whatever.
Yeah.
But I really wish that fight would have been a little bit more. That's what I thought when I left the theater anyway. But the more I think about it, like I said, for one, the movie's already 2 hours and 46 minutes. So, you don't want to add another 5 minutes to anything if you don't have to.
Yeah.
But also, I love the way they shot it. Because usually when you see a fight scene like that in a movie, there's some kind of tense music playing. I actually thought that not having any music playing, just letting the sounds of the blades do the work, was way more intense. Because if you think about it, if you're watching a fight in real life, there's no great orchestra. John Williams did write some score to make it more tense. And he's playing in the background, so it felt like I was kind of a little bit more in that space as it was happening, just hearing the clanking of the blade, the punches landing, them landing on the floor when they knock one of them over, the kicks and all that. It felt more real, which I think was one of the things that made that fight really enjoyable to watch. Other than the fact that the good guy kind of wins, but also the banter back and forth between these two, especially at the end as that final knife blow has been kind of dealt. I was like, that's one of my favorite things about the battle between the good guy and the bad guy is if it finishes up and there's one piece of dialogue that kind of brings them to an understanding, where there's a little bit of show of respect that goes between them really quick, like that scene at the end of Heat when he finally kills De Niro, and then as De Niro's dying, he's just kind of like holding his hand or something like that and looking off into the darkness. It's like stuff like that makes it more real, because then it's real respect amongst warriors, which is something that's very important in these two characters. And then of course, the great battle, Thanos killing Drax, that kind of thing. That was a really cool moment. I couldn't help it. I also love the moment where Paul Atreides walks in and he just shoves a knife into the TV Jabba the Hutt. He's laying there on the ground. He's already had his umbilical cut by Christopher Walken and stuff like that. So he's kind of on the end anyway. He just walks right up to him. He hits him with a one-liner. I forget what he says. He just jams the knife right into his neck and finishes.
He said like "Hello, grandfather" or something like that. He was like, "You die like an animal" or something. And stabs him. I was like, "Damn!" And he walks out like a boss.
Yeah,
and also, I love the fact that he's just like give his body to the deserts.
Right.
And so at the end, so the last time you see Discount Jabba the Hutt, he's just laying there in the desert, and ants are starting to crawl all over him, and you kind of know how that's going to go. Yeah. And I was like, wow, how the mighty fall so quickly. It's like an hour ago, he was in his bath of blood or mud or whatever the hell he was in, and doing his thing, living high off the hog. And then, an hour and a half later of film, he's laying in the desert and he's camping.
It's their version of a Bacta tank, I think. And I'm like, again, I hate to keep making Star Wars references, but man, it's like that little weird mud bath thing is like their version of a Bacta tank to kind of heal him, I guess, or something.
Yeah, keep him sustained.
But what other comparisons can you make, though? I mean, what film has ever been made?
I could do more
to this? Yeah. Well, what film has ever been made that's close to this? Certainly, there are themes across different films.
Well, Dune's up there in the annals of sci-fi, like some great sci-fi that came out of the 80s.
But it's like what more apt comparison can you make than Star Wars? They're both very deep, very sprawling stories that happen out in outer space at an undetermined time. Well, mostly undetermined. I mean, Star Wars happened a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. But yeah, I mean, there's really no other comparison between this and anything else other than Star Wars.
Yeah.
But let's get into some trivia now. And boy, I have a couple of doozies. Let me pull up all my stuff here.
Man, I didn't realize I had to be studying for Frank's show on top of schoolwork now.
Oh, you have no
I
idea.
came here to get away from the schoolwork.
Well, you're lucky I didn't ask you to do a book report. I could have asked you to do a book report on Dune.
I'd fight you.
I know where he lives.
Let's see.
I'll do it.
Suffering for your art is something that happens a lot for actors these days. And let's see. Did you know that Stellan Skarsgård's body makeup took 8 hours to apply and 2 hours to remove for every day of shooting? He didn't drink anything and took Imodium pills in order to avoid having to go to the bathroom during shooting days.
Oh, God damn, dude.
Dude, it's 10 hours just for costumes.
Yeah.
To say nothing.
And then you imagine how long you're shooting. Yeah. How many times you got to reset? You got to do something again. You got to, my God.
Then they're like actually out in a desert area. So, when all that black, he's just roasting out there.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure some of this was done on sound stages, but yeah, they did do some filming in like Italy. I think some in Tibet, kind of in the same area where they filmed a lot of Star Wars stuff, ironically enough. So yeah, they were in some desert environments. So yeah, he's dressed all in black and that heavy ass makeup.
Yeah.
10 hours to put on, 2 hours to take off. So, or 8 hours to put on, 2 hours to take off. Yeah, that's suffering for your art right there. Props. Yeah. And let's face it, it's one thing for someone who's relatively young, like one of us, to go through that. Stellan Skarsgård's in his late 60s.
Oh yeah, I was like, how old is he? Yeah, he's
it's not like he's still young and virile, and he's on top of his game. But I mean, he's not 30. I mean, that would be terrible. But let's see. The language that the Fremen often use is actually named, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Chakobsa in the novels. It actually derives from real-life Arabic, although it also contains parts of French, Greek, Romani, and Slavic, including heavy alterations from Hebrew and Sanskrit. So basically, to speak in this movie, you had to learn 17 different languages.
That's how you make. That's how you make the languages for these, other worlds. Like with Tolkien. I mean, he made up all that shit for Lord of the Rings. So, and it's derived from a lot of real life stuff. Which, to be fair, that's fine by me. You do say Slavic, and I'm like, it's just me just knowing dumb things. But I'm like, how many times they were just Slavic squatting out there in the desert? If you know what that is. Like Zendaya is just down there like Slavic squatting, watching him like do the little worm surfing. Yeah. So maybe that's just me thinking too much into it, but a lot of them were doing that. So I don't know if that's part of it or not.
That might just be how they wanted to portray that culture.
Yeah, that's 7 different languages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's hard enough for me to learn one. I mean, I'm Mexican. I feel Spanish. Now it was my morning class, so it was my sleep class. But still, I mean, it's like 7 different languages.
I think yes, I took Spanish in like the morning classes too, and I'm like, I don't know. Buenos dias, yeah, whatever. Fucking time is it?
Like, yeah. The only one I know is adios when the bell rings.
All right. Exactly.
But Austin Butler went through a little bit of a transformation himself. Austin Butler had to gain 25 pounds of pure muscle to play Fayed Rutha in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, did you see him doing his fight scenes? Holy shit. This dude is something else. I was going to say that. I'm like, I think we've talked about some people, being on the up and up. And I'm like, I think Austin Butler is one of them for sure. I want to see what this guy does. He's still, he's young enough, and he's obviously more than capable of doing. It's again a wide range of things. I keep saying Elvis. I'm like, yeah, he was Elvis. He was. He's been this guy in Dune, and whatever Frank just said. Now he's like this cool ass biker dude, and I don't know what he was doing that I've seen a million times now from Taron Tactical, who trained John Wick, but Austin Butler after like 2 sessions was kicking some ass. So I'm like. Everyone keeps saying there's going to be a sequel to Heat. I'm like, is there? I mean, he could be a young Val Kilmer, and that'd be cool as hell. I'm here for that.
I could see him if they ever remade Heat. I could see him stepping into that role.
He could definitely be Val Kilmer for sure. If it's a remake, I'm here for that. That would be pretty dope. So,
but I mean, I've seen pictures of him with like long dark blonde or sandy blonde hair. He's got a bit of a Val Kilmer and Heat thing to him. But
yeah, the shots of him at Heat, but whatever. I know, but if anyone was going to do it, I would trust him with that. The little clips from Taron Tactical, he has like he's got a hat on, but he's got his hair slicked back, and it is like a sandy like blonde hair. So I was seeing it. I'm like, if you just a little longer, do the ponytail, put the shades on in the suit, and I'm like, oh, you got it, dude. You got it in the bag. As long as you do that mag change correctly, you're golden. They'll be showing that to the Marines.
Yeah, let's see a little bit more about his character. Let me pull this awesome ass picture up again.
God, that is such a cool picture.
That is a very cool image. Denis Villeneuve actually described Fayed Rutha Harkonnen, played by Austin Butler. an Olympic sword master, a snake, and Mick Jagger. Jagger had actually been attached to play the character in Alejandro Jodorowsky's failed Dune adaptation, which was supposed to come out in the 70s.
Wow. Okay. That would be a choice that someone made. Yeah. I mean, in the 70s, though. I mean, Mick Jagger was probably what, 70 in the fucking 70s? I don't know anymore.
He was
170
back in the 70s.
I know.
Mick Jagger's never going to die. It's going to be one of those things like when he does actually kick the bucket for like 50 years. It's going to be like Elvis. Like for 50 years after his death, people are going to be like, did he really die though? Did he fake his death? I saw him over here in Cabo San Lucas, smoking a joint, drinking a beer with some chick. And there'll be some grainy picture of him walking through the woods, just like Bigfoot. They'll be like, no, he's not.
Yeah, it's actually him.
Yeah, him and Keith Richards, they're going to be immortal. I'm telling you what. God damn.
One of these days, nuclear war is going to wipe out the entire planet, and Mick Jagger and
still,
Mick Jagger, Elvis.
All the remaining Rolling Stones are going to be just like peeking on a rock, just like picking at some fucking guitars or whatever, just chilling, playing a little acoustic shit.
Yeah, Atomic World Tour.
We outlived everybody, man. Let's write it out. Let's see. The actor musician Sting actually played in the original 1980 version of Dune. He was actually, the 1984 version. He actually turned down a cameo appearance in this film. However, he did attend the New York premiere alongside his daughter, Mickey Sumner, on February 25th. That would have been cool to have seen him in there. I mean, I don't know if a cameo would have fit this movie, though. You know what I mean? Because this is that kind of movie. It's not like a Marvel movie where you can walk somebody through a scene and just be like, "Remember this face?" It's not like Stan Lee or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you could have fit him in here in a cameo. It would have been interesting to have seen him play a bigger role, just a different role. I mean, maybe having him play the role that Christopher Walken played.
I was gonna say maybe the Emperor.
Yeah.
That would have been interesting, especially now that he's a little bit older. But I mean,
you could have had Mick Jagger be the Emperor. Screw it. I don't know. Come out there, we're swinging some more cowbell. I don't know.
He might be. Yeah, he's going to be the only one left when nuclear war destroys us all anyway. So he's going to have the planet at that point.
Why not?
But I thought that was interesting. It would have been cool to have seen him, but it's not. But like I said, I don't want to force shit in here when we don't really need it. Like I said, this movie is already 2 hours and 46 minutes long.
Oh,
you don't want to force anything into that, because then what you end up doing is you end up tempting them to cut things that are actually meaningful just so you can show this memorabilia. Like, hey guys, remember this face? Remember this guy from the original 84 film? That kind of thing. But let's see. This movie actually premiered on the 40th anniversary of Dune from 1984.
Nice.
Well,
good timing, right?
Yeah, it's 2024. That's all right. Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, I don't know why I remember it being from 1980 or 81. I keep getting that wrong. It was 84. I feel like it was way earlier than that. I feel like it was something in the late 70s. But bottom line is it's just good timing. It's kind of like Superman starts shooting on Superman's birthday, that kind of thing. There's a little bit of serendipity to it all.
Yeah.
Didn't I think the Obi-Wan series came out like on May 25th or something, like when Star Wars originally came out in the 70s or something? It was something like that.
Yeah. Nowadays, though, I think too many movies are trying to get stuff like that to happen. So it's like when you make the next Marvel movie, there's like, oh, we wanted to come out on the anniversary of Iron Man saying I'm Iron Man or some shit like that.
Yeah.
They're trying to do that now instead of letting things like that happen organically, which is kind of silly, but whatever.
I don't know. If it gets people talking, I guess.
Gets the word like, hey, this is happening on this day, so maybe more people will go see it on that day.
Yeah.
Let's see. And Jeremy, your favorite cameo of the entire film, Anna Taylor-Joy. No, that is not her, because I didn't have a good picture.
Sounds like there
wasn't any. She was in the movie for about 3.5 seconds. There's not really too many screen grabs of her. Anna Taylor-Joy plays Aaliyah, Paul Atreides' little sister, and a fan favorite from the books. In the books, she is actually a toddler, but Denis Villeneuve decided to have her as a voice calling to Jessica from the womb. Anna Taylor-Joy does have an uncredited cameo in a flash forward in one of Paul's visions. That one where she was on screen for 3.5 seconds and she looked at the camera,
right?
Gave it a sexy look, and then was gone, like a fart in the wind.
Yeah, like a fart in sand. I don't know what that was. I'm assuming there's got to be more to that because also with Anya Taylor-Joy, when they hit me over the damn head with now they're making her in a Mad Max movie. Before I saw this, I'm like, oh, cool. I mean, that's fine by me. And then I'm like, yeah, she's also someone that I'm like, you wouldn't just want to put her in there for 3 seconds and not have her, mean something to this story.
Yeah.
Like I said with Florence Pugh, like you're not just going to use her and then just be like, well, that was fun. Goodbye. Although, I mean, we saw Jason Momoa for 5 minutes in the last movie, and then he fucking died. Spoiler, sorry. Aquaman.
We're on part
Aquaman,
2.
We're on
I'm
part
just
2.
saying, Aquaman died in the desert after 5 minutes of screen time. I was like, well, damn it. Okay.
Yeah.
See you in Aquaman 2, I guess.
But then you also got to think okay, cool, we can have him here for the whole movie, but his character really wasn't there for the whole book. And then on top of that, you got to pay him more.
Yeah, and with this kind of cast, I mean, there
was no way this wasn't a cheap cast setup.
No, so she's definitely got something more to do with this. So, and if she was like, so, but I'm thinking I don't know how this works. So she seemed like she was. I mean, she's probably in her 20s or some shit. So, and she hasn't been born yet. So I'm like, are we going to see an older Paul Atreides or what's going on with that, or how's that going to work?
That is interesting because I feel like the way that movie ends, when we get part 3, whenever it comes out, it's going to pick right up. I mean, because he's getting in the ship to go up there and apparently throw hands or at least have some pretty intense dialogue scenes with the other, tribes or whatever, the other families. So I don't know if there's going to be an opportunity in that film to really pass a lot of time. You know what I mean? Or are they going to pull, or is it going to be kind of like Avengers Endgame, where it all happens immediately after the end of Infinity War, and then it's 5 years later, and then some time passes, or 20 years later, but then there's a lot of questions to be asked about that because does he actually marry what's her name's character, Florence Pugh's character? Does he whatever does? What else happens over the course of this 20 years is going to impact the story that we're going to miss, because none of this stuff's going to happen in a vacuum. None of it's going to happen over a long period of time. Yeah. I think the course of from the beginning of the first movie to the end of this movie, I think it's probably only a year or two. Maybe. So, I mean, whatever is happening between Paul Atreides and the rest of these other groups of people that are coming to talk to him, it's not something that's going to sit and rest for 20 years. No. So I kind of wonder exactly when we're supposed to be getting her.
This holy war could last for a while. I mean, this doesn't seem like something that's just going to be one little fray and then they're going to be done with it. This seems like it's now opening up to the rest of this, world here.
Yeah.
Because they said, he told Josh Brolin, Gurney, to send them this message. All these people that are kind of waiting on standby outside the orbit of the planet, and then they come back immediately yeah, we're not feeling that. So he's basically, I mean, I hope he goes up there and starts throwing hands. So,
well, I mean, the war could also be ended very quickly too. I mean, the one thing that controls space travel and traveling through the stars, they already have that planet on lockdown.
Yeah, we got space worms. Fuck with us.
Well, no, the spice is how they use and navigate space. If all the other houses run out of spice, well, sucks to suck. You can't come travel to us to fight you.
You had
we can take our time picking you off.
You guys had your chance, damn it.
I don't know if you guys caught this little Easter egg. I didn't catch it. I didn't play the game much, so I didn't catch this. But for those of you who are into the game, the music that Gurney Halleck plays on his ballast set is reminiscent of the soundtrack of the MS-DOS game Dune from 1992.
I wondered if there was something supposed to be with that, because I'm first of all, I'm who is plucking away on this 8-string guitar, and then I'm it's Josh Brolin, holy shit. And then I'm wait, what was that about? That was funny, but what? I figured that had to mean something, but I would have never thought that.
I know he's supposed to be pretty much like the space bard, helping lead.
Pretty much.
I mean, he's pretty much a space bard. In the book, he is one. He's going around singing songs about the house and all the triumphs. And so his character is just a space bard. going around singing and then fucking up people. But I mean, you can't really show that off in a movie like this. Like they're going pretty fast paced, but you're gonna pause for 5 minutes for him to play a song while the house is getting wiped out.
Yeah, sometimes these D&D tropes don't exactly translate like that. You're like, hold on. I gotta roll again. Hold on. Oh, there's a 15. All right, whip the loot out. All right, we're going. Now we're gonna play. We're gonna get inspired. So
that would be how they do it in a spoof movie. If they were in a spoof movie about Dungeons and Dragons, they'd be like right in the middle of the battle. They'd be like, wait. Then everybody pull out their dice and be like, damn it.
Everybody roll for initiative. Hold on, let's go.
Well, we got a quote. We got a corner road, dude. Roll a 1d4. Oh, we got a nat 1 on turning the corner. Bad guy right behind there.
Yikes. Yeah.
Let's see. One more piece of trivia, and this is interesting to me. This is actually something that John Campbell was talking about today on his show. Denis Villeneuve actually said that he will not be releasing any deleted scenes, explaining, quote, I am a strong believer that it's not in the movie, it's dead. I kill darlings, and it's painful for me. Sometimes I remove shots and say, I can't believe I'm cutting this out. I feel like a samurai opening my gut. It's so painful, so I cannot go back after that and create a Frankenstein and try to reanimate things that I killed. It's too painful. When it's dead, and it's dead for a reason. But yes, it is a painful project, but it is my job. The movie prevails. I'm very, I think, severe in the editing room. I'm not thinking about my ego. I'm thinking about the movie.
Yeah.
I can understand that because sometimes, I mean, when you open that door and you're like, oh, that could have been, or what was that about? Like, what was this scene? Or what, or you do some dumb shit like, hey, remember how there was an alternate ending to I Am Legend? Well, guess what? We're going to do a sequel based off of that because screw you. The rules don't matter. Everything's made up and the points don't matter. I'm like, okay, but...
Or we're going to have 3 different versions of Man and Steel, and you're not going to understand which one's which, and we're just going to pick one of them to talk about. Like,
I kind of understand it because I don't know. I always hate to sound like a pretentious prick when I say like, oh yeah, I've worked on like stuff with friends or videos or like music videos and stuff, and just in my own little world, I'm like, damn, that was not good. I want to do it again, or no, that didn't feel right. Let me do it again. I'm very critical of myself too, and especially if I made something and I've made videos where I'm like, okay, but what do I edit down? I'm like, because all of this seems like it's in context, or like you're not going to understand this if you didn't understand what I said like 10 minutes ago. So I don't know. It's like if you want to make it, and like, he wants to make like this is what I'm putting out here, and that's just what it's going to be. Like I kind of understand it from that point.
yeah.
I don't know. You want to make your vision of what you want to see, and that's what I'm saying. If you want to, you focus on the movie / story you're trying to tell. That's what we need, and that's what we're sitting here like singing this guy's praises because I'm like, yeah, he made. Even though it's almost some endgame level runtime, like, but I was not mad about that. I mean, I've enjoyed every I can't say minute, every hour of this entire 2-part series. I mean, really, I talk about that a lot. Where I'm like, if you don't notice it, if something's like 3 hours long, like. I mean, I came over to hang out with Frank once, and he was just like, "You want to watch Endgame?" And I'm like, "Yeah, fuck it, why not?" Like, just casually, "You want to watch Endgame?" Yeah, sure.
That movie watched it really fast, though.
Yeah, and we're just like, then 3 hours went by. So, yeah, if you don't feel it, I'm like, yeah, if you're in it, and sometimes there's movies where like, yeah, you feel every single damn minute of it, and I don't know. It's not to say it's either good or bad, but I don't know. He's been doing the right thing.
Yeah, Marcus, what do you think? Do you want to see a 7.5 hour long director's cut, or do you agree with Denis Villeneuve of sticking to his purest artistic vision?
I'm happy with him just sticking with me. He's just like, this is what you guys are getting. It's the best option that we had. I stuck to what I wanted for the movie, and I wanted the movie to succeed, not the franchise, not to make whatever would make a whole bunch of money. He cared for the movie and telling the story, and he did that. And he just like, oh, but I wanted to do it this way, and everyone else like, no, he did it his way. This is his version because he had control of it, and he's not going to come up with 20 different versions. I'm not okay with that. I'm tired of seeing we're going to make multiple cuts, and I'm like, okay, so it's just whatever studio wants an extra $30 a pop for the movie real quick. they don't care for the story, because if they want the story to be done right in the first place, they do it right in the first place, not trying to make an extra $40 off of it later on down the line.
Yeah, I appreciate Denis Villeneuve's point of view on this. Because even some of the really great directors of the last 50 years or so have kind of gotten sucked into this director's cut, this kind of cut. We talked about Superman, a couple days ago about the Donner cut, the whole situation surrounding him leaving the second film and all that. I like the fact that he's like, look, I have an artistic vision here, and that's what you're gonna get. Now the DVD physical media guy that I've always been like, one of the things I've always loved about DVD and stuff like that is the fact that you can get deleted scenes much easier. And some DVDs, I know one of the X-Men movies, I forget which one, you could actually play it in a way to where it would put the deleted scenes in the movie where it would have been, or something like that. So things like that interest me, but I get what he's saying. He's like, look, I took painstaking care to put everything in this theatrical cut exactly the way I wanted to put it. Why would I give you that brushstroke that I took away that I didn't need and throw the movie kind of out of whack? Because he probably watched this movie about 500 times before anybody else in the world did, or anybody else outside the production did, rather. And so he's like, so he's crafted this, he has fine-tuned this to exactly the story that he wants. Not the runtime. Maybe he wanted this runtime. I don't know. Not the runtime, but he wanted this. He wanted every scene of this story to fit in a perfect place, in a perfect pace, in a perfect way. And so I respect that. He's so many filmmakers will succumb to, all kinds of outward forces when it comes to trying to realize their artistic visions. And Denis Villeneuve's like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give you this movie that I've worked very hard on, and I hope you like it. If you don't, that's fine, because movies are art like any other form. But I think that's one of the reasons why, especially his last 5 movies, have done so well. I mean, because I appreciate his artistic vision. He's been fantastic. See, Galaxy Geek, what's up? I actually watched right before I started doing this. I watched their little quick review on Dune Part 2 as well, which is a great review. I actually just got a chance to watch it last night. So shout out to Galaxy Geeks. Go check out them as well. They have a pretty cool channel. But yeah, I really appreciate his point of view and not wanting to sully it by putting out different versions and, here's what could have been, yada, yada, yada. I really appreciate him wanting to do that. Because to be honest, I don't know what scene that I could have put in the movie. I don't know what he shot, what he wrote. But I don't know what scene that I could think of that I would put in a movie, what adjustment I would make would make the movie better. I really don't. Like I said, I could have stood for a few more ha-has in the downtime, but for the most part, I can't really find anything with this movie that I could look at and criticize all that heavily.
No, in a movie this heavy already, like I said, it's not. I think he told his coherent story, and like I said, I don't know what else to really say. It's you don't have a whole lot of negatives with this, right? Like, and I'm trying to something I'm trying to learn right now is I'm going to go the gaming angle here. Yeah, The Last of Us. I'm talking about the games, not the show. The Last of Us. Then you had Last of Us Part 2, and I was like, and collectively, everybody was like, what in the fuck was that? But I don't know if I expected it, especially at that time, that, we're going to make a show out of this. And I'm like, no, that opens that up to a more, not the normie audience, but kind of gets that out there. And now it's like, what's this game about? People check the game out now. And people, it becomes this whole thing. And I'm like, now you're in a position where this thing has become a kind of like juggernaut in itself. So I'm like, you might want to make another game. You know what I mean? Might make a Part 3. So as harshly as I felt, and I'm not alone in thinking it about my qualms with Part 2. I'm trying to think that if this is, this is where we're at. But who knew at the end of Empire Strikes Back? Like, okay, where do we go from here, right? And then now you have this complete. Well, at that time, you had the 3 movies that have this saga that complete itself, right? So I'm trying to think like, okay, well, now we're at the end of this Part 2. So when I'm able to look back now and look at this whole entire Dune series, Part 1, 2, and 3, like, this is going to be the whole vision of it. So I'm like, like I said with The Last of Us, I'm trying to be like, okay, but if you make 3 and you make this all make sense, maybe I'll change my opinion. What I'm saying? Like everybody grab your tissues when season 2 comes out for Last of Us. I'm telling you, we're going to be pissed off.
That's gonna hurt. I haven't even played the game, and I know what's.
I know it's not really much of a secret, but I mean, I try to, especially now with The Walking Dead, the ones who live. I'm like, I know how the comic book ends. I don't know if the show's gonna end like that. It might, but yeah, Jesus. So we'll see. I don't know.
Pedro Pascal. I mean, he's doing. In the span of 18 months, he's filming a Fantastic Four movie, season 2 of The Last of Us,
probably some more
and the Mandalorian movie.
Yeah. Well, as we famously know, I'm like, I don't really think it's him. You can put any twat in that armor and just have him voice the lines. I'm like, he doesn't have to really be there. I don't know.
Well, and on top of that, I mean, to not spoil too much for those of you who aren't in the know, but I mean, I don't know how much filming he's actually going to be doing on season 2 of The Last of Us. It depends. I would imagine that the big surprise scene, I don't want to spoil it for anybody who may not understand what's happening, but I would imagine that might happen later in season 2.
No, you know what? I don't think so, because as much as they stuck to part one of the game to the show, I mean, they flat out of the gate killed his daughter right in the beginning. I'm like, yeah, the game opens up with his daughter dying. I was like, Jesus, I'm crying, and it's the end of the first level. God damn. I think if you want to stay true to it now, if anyone hasn't played the game, it's not like he isn't still there and still a part of the story. There are obviously flashbacks. There's other things that happened before in this 5 year, because it's, I think, a span of like 5 years from part 1 to part 2. I think Ellie was like 16 and now she's like in her early 20s. So there's been time, and I'm like, yeah, he's still going to be around. They wouldn't just have him there for one scene and, yell 4 and then give your best Tiger Woods. I'm trying not to spoil it, but it's pretty obvious what happens. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm Johnny Knoxville. Welcome to Jackass. I call this one the tee off. But there's other things that can fill in that he can still pop in and out for that they can do with it, that he'll still loom over that. But like I said, I don't know what Neil has in store for like a part 3. So, and that's the thing. You have the guy who created the game balls deep in making the show. And I'm like, that's what you need. You need the person who is responsible for this to make this right. So, because it's still going to hit, and it's still going to hit hard. It's still going to hit a hole in one, or maybe a few holes in one, whatever. But I think he's still going to have a presence, and that might be easier on him just having to film a few things to show this passage of time that's gone on. So I don't know. That damn game made me cry over a fucking wristwatch, and I'm mad about it still. I may be the only one who's mad, that knows what I'm saying, but like, if you play the game, you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Also, shout out to Galaxy Geeks. Jeremy and Rachel put together the Millennium Falcon on here over several streams. They actually, one of the reasons I found them was because they were putting together a big Disney thing in Legos, and I was just kind of in their chat talking with them one day. So yeah, they're very cool people. Go check out Galaxy Geeks on YouTube as well. And Tex is saying that Rick gives 1 thumb up for The Walking Dead. The ones that live.
Well, quit spoiling shit for people.
Yeah.
He gives it a thumbs up. He's just saying it's good. He's not spoiling anything, right?
It's not spoiling anything when having like the 10th fucking issue of the comic and there's like 200 issues. I'm like, yeah, it's not ruining anything really.
Yeah.
And I can sit here and tell you what happens because I'm like, I don't know if the show is going to be like that. I can flat out tell you right now, Rick Grimes fucking dies at the end. Boom. Spoiler. But I'm like, I don't know if that's going to happen. So it could. I don't know.
You use a Jeremy's favorite line. If you know, you know.
I know. I'm like, if you know what I'm talking about, and I'm like, I could see it happening because I mean, the way those last couple frames of that comic went, I'm like, maybe, but because I don't know how they're going to end the show, but we'll see.
But that's a good place to start wrapping things up. Let me get some final thoughts. Go to you first, Marcus. Give me your final thoughts on Dune Part 2.
I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I want to go see it in IMAX. Words in IMAX. I had the extra money, and I was the only one going to see it. So I'm like, it might not be fancy seating, but I want to go see it in IMAX with all the fancy sounds. And I honestly do believe that it helped bring the movie up into a level where it's just like, oh, we're gonna put it in IMAX because we want to, not because it actually needs it. This movie definitely like feeling the thumps was like equivalent to me, almost like the foot stomps you would feel in Oppenheimer. Like, because I went to go see Oppenheimer in IMAX too, so like they both gave me the same level of energy seeing it in IMAX, and I'm like, this is what I want.
Jeremy, how about you? Give me your final thoughts on Dune Chapter 2.
I definitely enjoyed it. I think I may have mentioned in there somewhere I'm a sucker for some cinematography and shit. So, I mean, even from the opening scene, there's that backdrop of like the sun going down against, you got like the silhouettes of them, and even the fight scene, like we said, with Austin Butler at the end. That black sun that makes everything just like this black and white, just visceral image. Like, my God, you want to talk? I mean, we know like this is art, and I'm like, this is some art right here, and I loved it. I mean, we can compare all day and say like, yeah, there's a lot of things that, and it's not a bad thing, but I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of things that I can see this that's very Star Warsy, and I'm like, I love Star Wars. I've loved Star Wars ever since I was a kid. So, until Disney took away the entire extended universe and wasted my time, but whatever. I'm not mad about that.
Not at all.
I'm not still mad about. Well, I'm mad about you said none of that matters until we can pick and choose from it and say we did it. Like the whole Boba Fett thing. Like, no. You don't get to say that didn't happen and then say it happened because you put it on a fucking show. Like, come on now. You don't get to take credit for that. But this is pretty cool. If this is Act 2 of this entire, I just hit myself in the face. Ow. If this is Act 2 of like a 3-part like crazy saga with this series, I'm excited to see where it goes. I can't really condense almost 3 hours into like 3 minutes right there, but just go see it. I mean, see the original. The original is also on HBO Max, and I believe that's where part 1 is definitely on there. But I'm sure this one will come out at some point. But it's definitely worth seeing in the theater. And I guess if you got the money, I mean, this would be one to see in IMAX. This would be insane because this is an insane world to just be absorbed into.
Yeah, I after seeing this movie, I kind of have to put it like on par with Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars is still my all-time favorite just because it's Star Wars and nostalgia and my childhood and all that. But this movie is very much the Dune version of Empire Strikes Back. I mean, everything down to the rather open ending where there's plenty more coming. Some of the struggles that Paul Atreides goes through are very similar to some of the things that Luke and other people in Star Wars have gone through. But I mean, and the comparisons don't stop there because they're both very, very good. Look, Dune Part 1 I thought was very good. A much more cerebral, ethereal kind of look at this sci-fi thing. And this one, it ups the ante in a way that I don't even really know how to describe. I mean, we come into this movie, we already have all the characters set up, with the exception of a couple that we kind of get along the way, Florence Pugh's character, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, everything in here works out so well. I found myself walking out of the theater just like, I want the next one now. It's not like I need to process this movie and then hopefully I get the next one. But it's like, I want the next one now. I don't want to wait. I really want to see where this goes. It's different. This movie felt different to watch. And I even mentioned in my short review that this was going to be a tough movie to review because it's not the typical sci-fi action-y thing. It's, like I said, it's Star Wars with a little bit more of the political and family intrigue. It's more of a dramatic piece than it is an action piece. The action is there, especially in the last half of the film. But yeah, it's definitely a different take on what we usually get from sci-fi. And I love it. I love this heavy dialogue and character-driven stuff. To me, that's some of the best stuff. That's why I've always been into political thrillers. I mean, yeah, there's no gunfights, there's no fist being thrown, there's no this crazy shit. But when you get great dialogue and great situations, you can get really wrapped up in it at kind of a different level than what you get from the typical action fare that we see in a lot of sci-fi stuff. Sci-fi sometimes leans a little too heavy on the action visual stuff, but doesn't really give the characters and stuff the attention they deserve. This one does not have that problem. Denis Villeneuve really put together a fantastic piece of art with these last two films. I'm really eager to see what the third one brings. If that's going to be another 2.5 to 3 hour completion of this whole thing, I can imagine it's going to be balls out from scene one to the final, to the credits rolling. That movie is going to be absolutely freaking amazing. So I go see it in theaters if you have a chance. I'm probably gonna follow Marcus's example and go check this out in IMAX. I'm not big on going to IMAX screenings for a lot of shit. I don't feel like I need to spend extra money to get the effect. It definitely needs to be seen on a big screen. If you don't want to see it on IMAX, fine.
Yeah,
go see
big
this
screen definitely.
I don't think the TV will, even if you have a bigger TV, I don't think the TV is going to do this movie justice. There's a scope and a scale to this movie, like a Star Wars, like some other movies that are set, any other movie set in space needs to be seen in a theater. There's a scope to this movie that I don't think a TV is going to do it justice. So even if you're not a big movie theater person, pick a slow day, maybe a day during the week or maybe early on a Sunday or something.
What, Monday?
Go see this movie in theaters to see it in full scope. It really does look fantastic on screen.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah. And I was just thinking, I don't think we've given enough credit to. Let me pull the picture up here. I don't think we've talked enough about Christopher Walken. I mean, there's so much going on in this movie. Look, and again, this is one of the things about the movie. It's like his character is kind of left in limbo at the end too. So I know we're probably going to see more of him in the next film, which is just fine by me. Also, I noticed that he's not just Christopher Walken in this movie. He's very stoic. He's reminding you in this movie that he is legitimately a great actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not just going and doing Christopher Walken things. There's no cowbell. There's no exaggerated movements when he talks in this particular tone of voice. He is a very stoic, very deliberately speaking person in this character in this movie. And I'm reminded of just how good this guy has been for 50 years. I mean, the guy's just so damn good.
He very much, from the moment you see him, from the beginning of the film all the way to the end, he presents himself like he's the emperor. Like, everything's done with purpose. Like, what, you want to talk to me? Sure. I gave you permission to do so. Like, pretty much, he's holding himself to the character.
And like Frank says, like he'll watch somebody act with their eyes or just act with, it's because it's been set up that basically it's like, I think it might have been that Reverend Mother that told Florence Pugh, like, it doesn't matter what happens. Your father's losing this throne. Like, something's going to happen here. And you can kind of just see it on his face, like, especially when he gets done fighting Austin Butler. It's like, you can see him kind of go like he knows where the dice are rolling. And he's like, shit, like, now, he kind of knows what's coming down the pipe. And like, he didn't have to say a word, but like, he just conveyed that whole message just through his little subtle actions. Even when he like, and you know what, say what you want about Timothée Chalamet. I'm like, I think he proved it in this movie. You know what I mean? When he goes in that sacred temple and he is just like yelling at all of them and basically like challenging them, like, come on, fight me. Like, I fucking dare you, fight me, any one of you right now. And I'm like, damn. When he commands that room and when he goes up to him and tells him, like, kiss my fucking ring, dude. I was like, shit, you're gonna make Christopher Walken kneel and kiss your dad's ring. I was like, that is a baller move in front of everybody. Like,
I would never in a million. I don't know that I would have done that, to be honest. But I mean, character.
That was the big dick in the locker room. He was like,
if I'm Timothée Chalamet, I'm thinking I'm reading that part. I'm reading that page of the script, and I'm like, you want me to make Christopher Walken
as the actor? I'd be like,
Are you sure that Are you sure that I'm at this point in my career yet?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I know it's about character and not actor, but I mean, as an actor, I'd have to look.
I'd be like, oh no,
yeah,
I would have to sit down with Christopher Walken and be like, I don't know if I'm worthy. So help me with the scene because I'm asking you, an absolute legend, to bend down and kiss. I'm 13 years old compared to Christopher Walken. My biggest success so far has been the Wonka's prequel or some other oddball shit. It's like I'm asking Walken to kiss my ring. I don't know about that, but I mean the scene worked. It was actually really good.
Even
Now the other question, real quick, I'll pose to you guys. I know there's not an AMC theater near here. I did not realize it was an AMC specific thing until I went to the Regal to see it. But Tech says the theater was sold out of the fleshlights when he went to see Dune. He wasn't happy. Other than that, it was a 7 out of 10. I really wanted to have one. I really wanted to have one like sitting right up there, and I wasn't going to say anything about it for the whole stream. But I went to my local Regal to watch it, and Regal did not have them. They were the ones that told me it's an AMC specific thing, so I'm gonna have to go online and find one. But I will definitely be doing that because I gotta have one. I can't not have one of those things. I don't care how much they cost. But I don't know. Jeremy, are you planning on getting one, or are you just gonna let me be one of those clowns that buys that as a joke?
This is why I'm a chaotic neutral, because I'm like, maybe, but also, because sometimes I'm about the dumb meme. I'm like, yeah, but the problem might be is that this might be scalper territory we're entering. So I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much the meme is worth it now to try and it'd be pretty damn funny. It just as a kind of a weird cultural moment that we're like, someone signed off on this and was like, yeah, that'll be it. It's completely impractical, but just for the, I guess the what's the word I'm looking for, the relic, the novelty of it, like yeah, like sure, but I don't know. I may not be rushing out to find one, but
I'm gonna have to look around for one. I don't think I can not have one. I don't know, Marcus. Are you getting the funny popcorn bucket topper?
Oh no, I want to get one too. I was kind of upset. It's like I went down to the green here, and it's like, okay, cool. I got the cup. When you get the popcorn, no. I was told the same thing. It was an AMC thing.
I'm liking this new Dune series, but like, I mean, I went and got like the whole like Pit Boy that came with Fallout 4. Like I went all out. I really wanted the mini nuke. I never got it. That's just my own fault. But I'm like, that's because I absolutely love Fallout, which is coming soon. Excited for that. There's your segue. But I don't know. Dune popcorn bucket, maybe. That might be a back burner, but maybe.
I'm just trying to get like Frank and others in half painted walls and some guy stuff up. I need some more background things to go up.
Yeah, I feel it.
Yeah, I'm hoping against hope that I can find one of those online or because like I said, the nearest AMC theater to us, Jeremy, I think is Franklin.
Yeah,
down by Cincinnati. So I don't know that I want to drive all the way down there. I mean, look, if I had a Saturday to kill in a couple of weeks,
if we were in town, screw it. Yeah, but
if I was down there, I might pop in and be like, "Hey, I don't really want to see the movie. I just want to."
I'm just here for the bucket. You know what I'm here for.
Okay, well here's. Oh man, I don't know about this. Let's see. On Etsy, there is one selling for $155. So I don't know about all that.
I don't know,
man. I'm gonna have to look around. I'm gonna have to look around.
And then he's gonna look longingly into its
let me
mouth.
Look on shopping real quick to see. There's Etsy 155, Etsy 149, eBay 120.
I was say, what's eBay doing? That might be.
There's one here for 40. That's doable. That's
40's
doable.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know where it's for sale at, but I mean, it could be some Japanese sites can take my credit card information. Mercari, $70. $70 is a bit much. I might do 50. That's a bit much, but yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things. It's just so outrageous. I feel like I have to have one. But I don't know. We'll see. As long as I can get one for relatively cheap, it would be nice to have in the background somewhere. But yeah, that's our review of Dune Part 2. Thanks to my amazing co-host for coming and being awesome as always. Starting with Foxtrot, my man Marcus. Where can the folks at home find you, my friend?
Well, I don't know. Maybe if you guys invite me more, I'll come and join out here. Otherwise, I'm doing work in school. And
don't start sounding like Casey on us, okay?
Hey, no, Casey's got his own stick, and he's being lame somewhere else. Like, I just actively have just been inside the group chat listening to y'all stream. I'm like, I think the last one that I could really chime in on because I've watched was when you guys were going over to Superman like the original
yeah.
Superman series, and that's because I owned all of them. And I'm like, okay, I kind of want to watch these. But otherwise, like some of the movies you guys talk about are horrors and stuff that I haven't got the time to watch. And until fantasy football kicks back up, and if we're doing that this year, I mean, I'll just be hanging out in the chat.
And to my hetero life mate, Jeremy, where can the folks at home find you, my friend?
I'm here Tuesday, Thursday, same bat time, same bat channel. Somewhere in the dunes and the sands and worms and shit. I don't know. That went off the rails. I'm pretty sure we're gonna do another. That's probably why she popped into the chat there. I'm pretty sure we're gonna do some Fortnite after this. So again, if anyone wants to come hang out and just dick around with us, getting our asses kicked in Fortnite because the game's broken, doesn't make any damn sense. But beside the point, I was gonna say we're gonna have some fun, but we're gonna do something, I guess. So, yeah, I'm sure the after stream, the link will probably be up there in the comments. Other than that, I would really love to get up, but Frank mentioned the Millennium Falcon, the Lego Falcon. I did just get the 25th anniversary of the Lego Falcon. There's a new one that's out. That's a little bit smaller. It's about yay big around. It's on a cool little stand. I just did that, and it was a lot of fun. They're really hitting with this this anniversary stuff this year with like episode 1 coming back to theaters, which again, go watch that because I mean, that moment of Darth Maul whipping out his double-bladed saber on a big screen is gonna slap. It's gonna slap like it did back in '99. I'm telling you. I was there.
That's a pretty dope lightsaber. I'm not gonna lie.
I was there. I was actually there. Damn it. But yeah, that's. I guess coming down the pipe, if I ever actually do shit, because I'm a terrible content creator. Speaking of Star Wars, the new Battlefront comes out, I think this month, where they remastered Battlefronts 1 and 2. So I might do that because that is a big nostalgic part of my childhood. And I mentioned Last of Us. If I actually get to recording stuff instead of the streaming, I'll try and do that now with the retrospect of the show in mind. And I'll try to give part 2 another goddamn chance. But I know as soon as it happens, I'm going to get mad. But we'll see what the show brings, as I said, and we'll see what part 3 brings. That's it.
That's for me. You can find me back here, like Jeremy said, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, going over whatever the hell movies we're going to be going over. It's going to be an interesting one. I don't plan on having Cora next week for this one because this is not really her thing, but we're going to be going over Cannibal Holocaust.
I don't know how we're going to do this. This is... Dude, I don't know. This is dangerous.
How to approach it?
This is dangerous territory we're going to now. This is, like I said, I bought this movie on DVD, and I'm like, I feel like I'm on a list. Like I feel like I'm on a fucking government list now because I'm like, this feels illegal. But yeah, as she just said, and as my mom just freaked the hell, you should because oh my god. Put it this. I know Tex is sitting there with his popcorn bucket in his damn lap, doing God knows what with it, watching this movie. Whatever, man. That's what I'm saying. It's a dangerous movie. Put it this way. This from my mom. They tried to arrest the director because they thought he legitimately killed the actors in the movie. And as his evidence, he brought the actors who were very much alive into court, and they're like, yeah, I didn't kill these people. Like, and this is back in like the 70s. So this is like, there's no, CGI, no nothing. They thought like, oh yeah, this actually happened. And I'm like, no, it's an insane kind of story. I know it might be a little bit embellished, but I'm like, there was some shit surrounding this movie, and it's intense. It's not for the faint of heart, trust me.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting time. So come and check us out in a couple of days as we do that. Also, we're gearing up to do Fallout, the series. That's going to be coming up next month. And, even though we don't have any idea when the third film is coming out, since St. Paddy's Day is coming up, we got to touch on two of the best Scottish people that have ever graced the silver screen. We're going to be breaking down the Boondock Saints 1 and 2. 1 and number 2 All Saints Day. So yeah, me and Jeremy are all about that because again, as much as I trash the 90s, The 90s gave us Boondock Saints.
He keeps saying that, but then he
give
keeps
them all the credit in the world. I will. The 90s can have that win because it's a gift for all of us. But yeah, I'm looking forward to breaking that one down. That's going to be a lot of fun. But on Thursday, we're going to be going into some darker territory. We're going to be heading into Cannibal Holocaust. Because every now and again, I gotta feed text to keep hitting it. But we will see you guys next time. Until then, thanks for coming out. We'll see you guys later. Adios.
See.
I mean,
I wanted to get one of those little things. I wanted to get one of those little things for my nose, just to get into the cosplay of it.
Actually, John Campion and his wife, they do cosplay. They both wore one of those things to the premiere in LA.
That's awesome.
He actually did part of his theater review with one of his noses.
Yeah, I need to find one of those.
That's pretty easy cosplay, though, if you think about it.
Yeah, I can figure it out. Get the material and
you got the hair for it, I know.
I know.